So before we step into parts of your story that most people shy away from, I want to start with you. Not the headlines, the tragedy, but the woman who has kept showing up through it all. When people hear your story, they see strength. But who were you before the loss, the headlines, and the advocacy?
That's a great question. Sometimes that's hard to remember who I was, because I will tell you, I look back at pictures of me before I lost Hallie, and sometimes I feel like I don't recognize her because I
Yeah.
see someone that's like naive in some aspects that think, she thought nothing would ever, happen. If you're doing all the right things in life, you won't experience hard times, or I thought I was in control of everything. So I would say me before all of this was very like, thought I was the one in control. I thought I created my own destiny. I could create my own reality. I loved to travel. I loved just spending time with my kids. And so I always said, like, I have my kids, my house, and my career. And that's all I needed. That's
Right.
all I needed. So that's how I would describe myself before.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's such a learning process, right? And you have, when you go through things like that are hard, and people are like, I don't know how you do it, right? And
Mhm.
like, well, I don't know that I had a choice. Right? Yeah.
That's exactly what I say. People say that all the time, like, "Oh my gosh, I could never go through that," or "You were so strong." I'm like, "I don't feel strong. I don't have a choice.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
have other kids. I will fight for my kids, so you will get up every day because you have to.
Yep,
You have to."
absolutely. And I think sometimes, having other kids is helpful in that, right? Like you don't have a choice. You have to get up. Where if it was your only child and
Yeah.
it's a loss, it's a lot harder, I think, to get up, get out of bed, get moving because, you don't feel like you have anything to live for.
Yeah, you have to find purpose in the pain. You
Yep.
have to.
Yep. Absolutely. So, tell us about your blended family. How did this messy, beautiful thing come together?
Well, that's kind of a funny story, I would say. So, I was married for 18 years when I had my 3 beautiful kiddos. So, Hallie came first, and then I had twins, Chase and Summer. But unfortunately, that marriage ended, and I then turned and just focused on my kids, my career, my house. Like I, mentioned earlier, that was like my focus on how do I become the best version of myself. And through that process, I swore that I would never get married again.
Yeah.
Because when you go through divorce, it's so traumatic, and
Mhm.
it ends up feeling like it's a legal piece of paper. You go through and you divide all this stuff, and there's child support, and there's like all these things, and it's like, oh my gosh, like marriage felt like when it ended with such a legal binding agreement. And so in my mind, it was like I'm never going to put myself in that situation again. I want to focus on what I can control, which is me and my house and creating that space for my kids. And so yeah, was never getting married. Told everybody that I'm never getting married again. And one day, Facebook had friend suggested someone to me. You know how it pops up and says
Yep.
like add a friend. And for whatever reason, I viewed this profile and I clicked add friend and went on like my day, because in my mind it was like a split second decision and never thought anything of it
Right.
again. And so about a week later, um, he started messaging me. And I think he expected, because I friend requested him, that I would start the conversation, but it was like, that wasn't even on my mind.
Right.
And so we started chatting, and that was kind of the end of it. And we were engaged a year later. 9 months later, we were married, and we blended our crew, which is 3. He has 3, and I have 3.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so that's how it all started. It was, beautiful, messy, chaotic, all the things. Never say
Try
never,
the
by
quick.
the way. Never say never, because I would have never imagined I would have had a blended family of 6 kids.
Oh, that's great. So how did it that's a relatively short period of time. So did your kids really kind of mesh
Yeah.
together pretty nicely?
Yeah, so I think that that's a trick a lot of times. And I've talked to other blended families, obviously, and I think that's how it always starts, right? For us, it was actually COVID hit. That's why it
Mhm.
was fast tracked too, by the way. So it was in 2019 when we met in September, and that following early spring, COVID hit. And so
My
we couldn't
gosh.
go do anything. So it was like, well, we just hung out together and our kids hung out together. And I think that's why it went so fast too, um, because we were all at home and our kids, just the ages, everybody just mesh so well. And I say it's kind of a trick because it's like this newness. It's like when you start dating somebody and it's like all this like excitement and energy.
Yep.
And you have that when you blend your kids when they start hanging out. Eric's oldest is close to Hallie's age, and they had a lot of commonalities. And, Summer gained another big sister that was just like a little mama to her. And the three
Uh,
boys, all into sports and playing well and all that stuff. We were like, oh my God, this is so easy. This is so beautiful. Like, why wouldn't we bring this all together?
that's
And then the newness wears off and you're like, oh shit. Like, they fight just like
exactly.
any other siblings. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
these people aren't actually going away. They're not coming and going. We're actually going to all be together all the time. So
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah, that's so interesting to think about, right? It's like, oh gosh, I have this amazing family and it's forever, which is a
yeah,
little on the scary side.
yeah.
So what made you decide to speak out publicly to bring your family's raw and real story into the light?
So I'm blaming that on my husband. He is
Excellent.
a voice guy. He's a public guy. And I'm not. I'm private. And I think when you go through tragedy, and for me at the time when we started the podcast, my divorce was my traumatic sort of experience of, letting go of who you were in that marriage and starting something new and sort of just focused in on internal growth. And so I think when you go through things like that, you sort of feel like the whole world's talking about you. Oh, let me tell you, they're not. No one actually really cares that much, but it feels that way. And so I'm more introverted. But when we started blending and we hit the whole chaos and you're not my dad and whoa, why are you disciplining that way? I wouldn't do it that way. Like all of that mess,
Yep.
there was not a lot of resources for us. And so my husband suggests, he's like, why don't we just create a podcast and we talk about it each week and share our experiences? And I'm like, God, no. Because to your earlier point, we were chatting before the podcast, a lot of times we want to paint this picture that we have it all figured out. And so at that point in my life, I wasn't wanting to share the hard stuff or the messy stuff because it's like I want to portray that like I have it all figured out. Well, guess what? None of us do. So
Yep.
he worked on me for a while, eventually talked me into it. And now he jokes. He's like, well, she's literally the star of the podcast when she didn't want to do it. He's like,
It's amazing what love will do.
right, right. I think for me, though, what drives me doing that is to create that community so people feel like, oh, okay, there's not something wrong with our family. Like everybody struggles with that, or
Yep.
this is normal for blended families. And so that has kept us going on recording it because we've had people reach out or, oh my God, this has helped me so much because I know I'm not alone.
Yep.
Right. Isn't that what we all want? We all just want to be part of some community and not feel like we're alone.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what do people misunderstand most about blended families? Speaking of blended families.
Oh gosh. How hard it is, I think. I run across people that are like newly blended. They're like, oh my God, it's so amazing. Everybody's getting along great. And I'm just like, oh shit, it hasn't hit yet. It's hard. And you have all the same challenges that any other family does. The fights, the different personalities. I don't want to go there for dinner. I only like this food. Like you have all the same stuff, only it's magnified because you don't have the kids all the time.
Yeah.
And where I think it really gets hard is that you, as a parent, are also in a new relationship. And so you don't have that same years of foundation of being married before kids.
Yep.
to have that sort of go to when things get hard. You're like still learning things about each other. And so when you hit the discipline is probably the biggest challenge. You're trying to figure out how does this person react and how do we work this out on the fly. And
Right.
so that part, I think, is probably what makes it the most complicated. And we all have baggage. We all have cracks in our foundation. And so anytime you go through something hard, those cracks show. So then you're like trying to figure out, why did I react this way? Oh, it's because of, relationship I was in, previously. Now I'm bringing that to the table and we're trying to navigate our kids. And it's hard. I think that's the most surprising thing, is just how hard it is to work through those parenting challenges and still
Yeah.
find time for yourself and focus on your career and, make sure your own kids don't feel like they're getting slighted. It's hard.
Well, I think it's probably, it's so much both ends of the spectrum, right? Because you have this new love and it's exciting and you have all the endorphins and all those things that happen with like that new relationship. But then you have the reality of, teenagers or however old your kids are, right? And the issues that they normally face, which I think parenting teenagers are similar to parenting toddlers. Like it just is.
Yeah.
Their fits are a little bit more magnetized, that they have that
Yeah.
same like trying to come in their own and try to figure out what their body is doing and trying to, like all those things, which is hard just raising teenagers. But then when you add that whole sweet piece of like, oh my gosh, this is the love of my life. I love him so much. It just is such a weird dynamic.
But then you're also super protective of your kids. And so then at the same time, this person that you're like falling in love with, you're like, whoa, why don't discipline my kid that way? Like, then it puts a weird wedge into this like new love that you never would have experienced if you weren't bringing kids into it.
Yeah.
So it's hard. We have lots of stories.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead and share one.
Oh, gosh. Well, the one that we all talk about was we weren't married at the time. We still had separate houses and stuff. And Eric's two boys are like really into baseball. And so we were all playing in our backyard at my house. And Chase, he was probably 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know, somewhere in there. And he's like a perfectionist. If he doesn't hit the ball right out of the gate, then he's upset. And so we're playing ball and he wants to do good, wants to, show off among these boys. And he was not hitting it. And I mean, he didn't want anybody to tell him what to do or anything. Eric, who's very much an athlete and knows baseball, is trying to help him. And I mean, he just lost his mind. Told Eric that he was the devil. He was screaming. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So, but Eric at the time didn't know how to navigate that high emotion type of kid. And so now he knows how to navigate, but he kept on. Chase getting more upset. I'm like, this is a freaking disaster. We have a whole podcast actually from longer ago. That's the title. You're the devil. I mean, and countless times kids have shared like, well, you're not my dad. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do. And it's,
because it's an adjustment for them too. It's like,
oh my gosh,
who are you to tell me what I can do, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you got to kind of coexist because even though you're separate houses, you're kind of still merging your lives together.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is the hardest part of mothering in a house full of people with different pasts, different wounds, and different ways of showing love?
Well, I think sometimes, I don't know, for me personally, I think that it's easier for me as a mom because like all kids want love from their mom. I think it's when you go to the discipline side of it is where it gets complicated. And so I am just the type of mom that's going to show love and always support them and always be there for them and have the great snacks and like take them shopping and make sure they have like I feel like my job coming into this blended side of it was really easy. I think Eric had the had the tough job of trying to be like that strong dad.
Yeah.
But I would just say from a mom in that space that trust your gut instinct.
Yeah.
I think moms have a gift of knowing gut instinct, and whether they're your kids or your bonus kids, um, you have to just trust your gut. If you think something's off, then you've got to, work with your partner, but figure out how to navigate that. But I do feel like it, for me anyway, that's just my own personal
Yeah.
experience. I
Yeah.
never tried for the bonus kiddos, I never tried to be their mom. But I'm always there to like give them love when they need it, when they need something. Um, and so I don't try to like overstep and try to like be more than that. But
Yeah.
also my kids have a bonus mom. And so she's also really good at knowing where that line is and how much you can be their mom versus just being another person there to love them, like
Yeah.
an aunt. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've never had to like really get in and be more than that, more than just showing them love and support them in sports that they do and, different things like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like you and your stepkid's mom are kind of similar in that. Or I
Yeah.
know that sometimes I'm working with families that have the mom is jealous, or and so there's like some sabotage that
Yeah.
happens, or the mom is not attentive at all to the kids, and so
Yeah.
there's that conflicting feeling of I love you and I love everything that you're doing as my stepmom. You are doing everything that I need personally as a mom, but I'm going to rebel against you because I want my mom to be that
Yeah.
way, right?
So my kids have done that a little bit to Eric because he's very like hands-on. So I think that there's times where they felt like that, like, well, hang on, I have a dad. I don't know why you're trying to do that. And he's had to like back off a little bit with his style where so I'll give you an example of something that I don't ever do. So I take I take a ton of pictures. I love taking pictures of all the kids
Hmm.
on special days, like if we have I have bonus kids and it's the first day of school,
Yep.
I always take pictures of the kids. I never post them first.
Right.
I send them to the mom that's not like I put myself in the other mom's shoes and like how would I want them to navigate a certain situation with me?
Yeah.
I let them be they're the mom. I'm there just to be supportive and give them love whenever they need it, but I'm never over the top or overstep that boundary. The
Yep.
other thing I would say to parents that are struggling with this is that if another parent is not showing up for their kids like you think that they should, all you have to do is just um, know that you're in the long game. Like you don't have to make sure the kids know that you're supporting them, make sure they know that you're doing all these things for them. They know it, they see it. Kids are smart, and you're
Yep.
playing the long game.
Yep.
You don't need that gratification and validation from the kid that, oh, I know you're better than my parent, whatever that all is. You
Right.
just have to be consistent, keep showing up for them when they need you, and know that you're playing the long game. Eric and I remind ourselves of that all the time when we get frustrated is like, and this goes for your own kids too. Like half the time kids don't appreciate what their parents do for them
Yeah.
anyway while they're growing up.
So true.
Their brains aren't fully developed till they're 27.
Right.
So keep that in mind, but it's like you're playing the long game for them. They're not going to be, oh my God, you're an amazing parent. Because sometimes I think parents want that like acknowledgement, or bonus parents want the
Right.
kids to see them, in a certain way. It's like you're not going to get that if it's your kids or your bonus kids. So know you're playing the long game. Be consistent. Just always be there for them when they need you.
Yep. That's so good. And I think, in that normal teenage development, even if, mom and dad have been there forever, like they're so focused on being independent and so focused on like, um, I I can do this myself, right? And so like the idea of oh, mom, I just love the way that you always do this is rare. I mean, there are teenagers that do that and there are moments of that,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's like I'm hanging out with my friends, their opinion matters, blah blah blah. Not that they're not listening to mom and dad, because they are, but I just think that I love that you're paying, for the long game. And even
Yeah.
if I know, sometimes parents have their kids decide, I'm gonna move with dad. I hate the rules here. I'm just gonna move with dad. And so they move, and it's devastating to moms, because
Oh,
we want
yeah.
to love and nurture, and there really is that piece that they are a piece of our heart moving around, and so that
Oh, yeah.
rejection runs deep. And so, when you have that, you have to keep that in mind, that, this is temporary. These
Mhm.
feelings and these emotions and this, slamming the door and being gone is temporary. If,
Yep.
in the long run, I'm just going to keep loving, keep showing up, keep being there. And then, eventually it's going to be, we'll have that relationship again. It just
Right.
is not today.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is a healthy aspect to kids that push back,
Yeah.
because they are trying to figure out who they are, and you want them to do that while they're still in your home, while you can still guide them to some point. But my kids are very much independent challengers.
Yeah.
But I was that way. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I turned out okay. Like, I push back on everything. But I think a lot of kids that do that, they're very independent, and they want to figure things out, which also cost us pain. But at the same time, that's also a good trait to have. And I think sometimes we forget that. I know I do. I forget
Yeah.
that sometimes. I'm like, oh,
Well, I think it's because it's such a shift.
yeah.
Right? Like, so for the whole time that you parented, you've taught them every little thing. They needed you. You were sure that, the boogeyman was going to stay in their closet till they were 21, right? Like, you wake up in the middle of the night, all those things.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, all of a sudden you get this shift of, I don't need you. I got this. I'm going to figure it out. And it's like, intellectually you go, okay, this is healthy, and this is what they need to have. And this is how I need to show up for them, is like, by doing some hands off and just really providing a safety net to guide and love them through those transitions. But it's painful sometimes, because
I
it's
had
like,
sorry. I had a therapist say to me recently, because, and we'll get into the loss that I have gone through. But I said, my twins are 16, and when their kids get their license, they're gone. Like, it's a license for a little freedom, right? And so, you're not trapped in a car with anymore. You don't get to spend that time with them. They're driving to their practices and school and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I am struggling. Like, I don't know if I can let them go.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want you to reframe your thoughts. And you're letting them grow. And I'm like,
I love that.
damn, that's good. You're right. I mean, it's so true. For us, it feels like you're letting them go, but you're actually, all this work that you've put in for 16 years, you're going to let them grow. Like, okay, you're right. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Hallie. Not the tragedy, but the person. What do you wish that the world knew about who she was?
So Hallie, I mean, gosh, she's so easy to describe. She was such a free spirit. She was my firstborn. So, you learn together, definitely, with your first. She was a rainbow baby. And she had such a fascination and love and obsession with horses from little on. Where she got that from, I have no idea, because her dad and I, neither one of us are horse people at all. At all. I don't know where it came from. I think she loved horses more than people, honestly. But she was very intelligent, but hated to study, hated homework. She was just so much fun to be around. My youngest daughter, Summer, misses that the most. Like, no matter what you were doing, Hallie didn't care. Like, she was having fun no matter what. On the flip side, if she was in a bad mood, you knew that too. So she was very real, very authentically herself. She was never fake. She loved crime podcast. our favorite shows to binge together were Grace and Frankie and Lucifer on Netflix. Like, those shows could not be more opposite, but we could rewatch those shows on repeat. Never kept her car clean, messy car. But my favorite thing about her is that she had such a big, beautiful smile and just gorgeous long blonde hair.
Yeah.
That's
And I
Hallie.
think that, it's so rare to find people who are just authentically
Mm.
themselves. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. She hated fake. Hated
Oh,
fake.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it sounds like, while other girls were playing Barbie dolls, she was playing horse, huh?
oh yeah. Dirt under her fingernails could not be better. I mean, my mom, she was really close to my mom, and my mom still laughs at just her first job ever was cleaning out horse barns. And my mom talked to her after she was done working. She's like, "Oh my God, Grandma, it was the best day ever." And she's like, "Who thinks scooping horse poop is like the best thing ever?" But she did. She loved it.
That's
Not my
awesome.
thing either.
All right. So every parent fears the moment that you have lived through. What helped you survive the first days, the first nights, and the first breaths after losing Hallie?
Oh man. I'll never forget. We spent 2 days with her in the hospital with her lifeless body. She was 20 years old. It was on a Sunday when we got the call. I'll never forget it. I almost didn't answer it because I was in the kitchen, making dips and stuff like that. We're getting ready to watch the Chiefs game. It was November 27th, right after Thanksgiving weekend. And my aunt was calling me, who never calls me. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, I'm not going to answer that. But for whatever reason, I picked it up, and she's like, "Angie, I think something happened to Hallie." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was just Snapchatting her like literally 45 minutes before that. And she's like, did they just buy a gun? And she had one fact that I knew something had to happen. And in that split second, our lives are completely unraveled. Completely. And it's a moment that you will never, ever forget.
Yeah.
Ever. And we watched the helicopter land. She was life flighted. And shortly after that, we got the news that there's nothing that they could do for her. She had a bullet went through her upper lip straight back and hit her C1 vertebrae and brainstem and basically disconnected her head from her body. She looked perfect. Freaking perfect laying there, except, had some bleeding, and you never know what you're going to do in those situations ever. I mean, you think up until that point, I said, if something ever happens to one of my kids, I will be in a mental hospital. There's no way. There's no way I could survive that. I am soul connected to my kids, and there's no way I could survive losing a child. And there's so many things that happened in the hospital those 2 days. I laid with her in bed for a day and a half. I mean, my arms wrapped around her, knowing that I would have to say goodbye to her. And I will never, ever forget holding on to her so tightly with my head buried in her neck as we said goodbye. I mean, I felt her last breath. And you don't think you could ever live through that, but you do. I mean, you have a whole first year of I can't even believe this is real. I mean, how did this even freaking happen? How am I here? How am I still breathing? I think what gets me through is knowing that I will see her again.
Yeah.
That is the only thing. I think that if I didn't believe that I would see her again, I think I would be complete toast. My kids, I mean, that gets me fighting every day. I don't want them to think or this to impact them in such a way that their mom's not there for them.
Yeah.
And so I think the other thing is telling her story, because it's more complex than her death. She was in a terrible relationship with the person that was responsible for her death. She didn't think that, or they didn't think that. Her friends and family all thought that,
Mhm.
that there was a lot of red flags in that relationship. And so there's this fuel that I'm going to tell her story, and everyone will know Hallie Elizabeth Phillips, and they will know about gun safety, and they will know about their self-worth, because Hallie was a dreamer. She had big plans. She had such a zest for life, and then got into this relationship, and over time you saw her self-worth diminish, her goals diminish, her confidence in herself diminish. And a lot of times that's what narcissists do to young girls that are have huge hearts. They suck them in. They want them to only rely on them.
Yep.
And she had just moved in with him, and he was standing 5 feet away from her and says he didn't know it was loaded. He didn't know it was pointed at her 5 feet away. I don't know how you are confused by that.
Right.
And he pulled the trigger, and he's responsible for her death. And the one person that I did not think would protect her or really cared about her is responsible for her death. And there is so much rage in a lot of ways around, like, I don't want this. I don't want another girl to ever have to go through this again.
Yep.
So a couple weeks after I lost her, I wrote my first children's book. I mean, I don't know how did I do that? I do not know. But I was sitting on the couch by myself in my house, just reeling. And I'm like, this can't be it. Like, this can't be the end of her story, of her life.
Yep.
Like, how do I reach young girls? I created a TikTok account, and I wrote a story about her. She called me Mama Bird because she described me as a mama bird to her friends, because I teach my baby birds to fly, because I'm very much about challenging kids to think on their own, do things on their own, obviously there to support them.
Yep.
And so that was always an analogy. And so the story is about this young bird learning to fly, because as parents, that's what you're doing. You're teaching your kids to grow, not go.
Yep.
But throughout their journey, there will be people that try to keep them from flying, to try to tear their feathers out of them so that they are limited on what they can do. That's what narcissists do.
Yep.
But everybody has a gift. Everybody's worthy. Everybody has purpose. Everybody has self-worth. But it can easily, especially girls with big hearts, easily be taken away. And so those are a lot of the aspects of, like, what keeps me going is that fight for my kids, that fight for Hallie's story.
I love that. So what would you tell moms of girls who are they start to see that they're in a relationship with a narcissist? What are some of the things that you share with them?
I honestly, I'll be completely transparent. I wish I had the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'll tell you how I navigated it. Because I didn't. I immediately, when they started dating, I had this sick feeling in my stomach. I don't know how to describe it other than I didn't feel good about their relationship. I'm like, what is she doing? Like, this is like doesn't feel right, you know?
Right. Yep.
But also, kids are young, right? And you also, Hallie was 17, 18 years old. It's not like I can really tell her, you will not date this person either. Because
Right. You've taught them how to be independent and to fly, right? Yeah.
And certain kids might listen and be like, okay, yeah. Kids that are independent, hard-headed, like my kids are,
Yep.
because they get it from me probably, they're
Yep.
going to do the opposite of what you tell them to do, because they want to prove you wrong. So I had some initial conversations with Hallie, but I'm like, they're going to date for a little bit, break up, whatever. Oh no. So then she graduated from high school. I'm like, okay, she's going to Mizzou, and she's going to meet other people. It's going to be fine. He's not going to college. Another red flag of, like, no life goals when she had big goals. Like, that's a mismatch. And, like, in my mind, I thought, okay, they might get divorced, get married, and end up divorced. I'll be there for her. I mean,
Right.
never in my wildest dreams would I've ever thought that he would have shot her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to even say those words out loud sometimes. Because if I would have known that, hell yes, I would have said, you will not date him. You will not go around him. But you don't know those things. You're not in control of a lot of things. So it was always kind of like, okay, well, she's going to go to Mizzou. Well, guess what? She goes to Mizzou. It's COVID, her freshman year. So she's stuck in a dorm. She didn't meet a lot of people. It was just always this like next thing of like, okay. And we had conversations throughout, even her friends. But Hallie, I think, for whatever reason, was bonded with this guy. And I think wanted to prove people wrong, that she was going to fix him. She was going to help him. She, all those things. Yep. So I don't have the answer. Although I will say, for those 3.5 years she was in a relationship with him, I was so stressed out and full of anxiety about that relationship. I worried about it all the time. Yeah. Because of this gut instinct. And we were in a church small group when this guy had shared that he wanted to ask Hallie to marry him. And that whole weekend, I mean, I wanted to vomit. I was such a mess and just felt so sick to my stomach. And we had a small group, and I was talking to some other moms. And one of the moms in the group is a therapist and also big in faith. And I'll never forget her saying to me, Angie, she's like, the only thing that you can do is pray that you see what she sees, or that she sees what you see. Yeah. And you're going to have to give it to God. Yeah. And so shortly after that, I was in church. It was just one of those moments of silence. And I let it go. It was like in April or May. I let it go. I'm like, God, take this off of my shoulders. I cannot worry about this anymore. I can't. Like, I have to let go of it. You're in control. You either let her see what we see, or maybe there's something we're not seeing that she sees. Like, help me out here. And I let it go. Then I was scared to pray after we lost her for a while, because I'm like, this is what you're going to do? You're going to show the whole world what we see? Like, I didn't ask for that. And so I do have a lot of parents reach out to me to say, oh, I'm worried about my daughter. And I don't have a lot of advice, because it depends on the personality of the person. A lot of times the people that are in those relationships, who I've also talked to, have said, no matter what people say to me, I would never have gotten out of that relationship. I had to decide it on my own. Yep. And so there's this, like, you're not in control of it as a mom. You're just going to have to pray for your kids. That's my one thing, is you're going to have to pray for them, because I don't think that there's much you can do, in my honest opinion, besides know that you will always be there for them. Do not shut them out. Yeah. Because that was my thing too. I had to walk a fine line, because if I would say something, Hallie then would like be quiet for a little while. So I just kept a very even keel and invited him into our home all the time. Like, he was included in on everything, because I wanted a relationship with her more than I wanted him to be excluded, because my connection through her depended on him. And
that is so smart.
Don't ever shut them out, regardless of what you think of the other person, because you want that connection to her at all times. But also, I don't think they're going to leave out of the relationship until they decide on their own. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I think that is such amazing advice, because you're right. When you're in the midst of that relationship, there's nothing you cannot say. And so it's just a matter of keeping those lines of communication open, so that when something happens, they still have that connection to you. Yeah. Because, like, we're wanting them to fly the coop, right? Like, you want them to be independent. We want them to be, but sometimes the price of that is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does healing look like? Not as a concept, but like a lived experience in your home. Not only with you. You talked about how you wrote your book.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you speak out. Also amazing. But what about your kids? Like, the twins lost their sister. Yeah. How was that process?
We, so gosh, in our home, we talk about Hallie all the time. We're constantly, thank God, I will say, that kids have phones. I know social media is a negative for sure, but these kids have so many videos of Hallie on their phones, and memories pop up, and we have a family Snapchat. Hallie's still in it. And we're always sharing funny videos that pop up. I mean, it's 2.5 years since we've lost her. And I think that's key, is that everyone feels comfortable talking about Hallie. Like, we don't not talk about her. Where I think sometimes people have processed grief and they shut it down, like, we don't want to ever talk about this person, and we're the complete opposite. It probably makes people uncomfortable sometimes because we do talk about her all the time. We all go to therapy. We started the twins in therapy right out of the gate, and
Yep.
we found a therapist that was younger too, like that would
Yep.
connect with them in a lot of ways. And that was extremely beneficial, because here's what I would tell you about kids that have experienced loss, like a sibling loss. There's not a lot of support for them. And a lot of times they don't want to bring something that's bothering them to their mom, because their mom's already suffering tremendously. So my
Yeah.
kids have shared that with their therapist too, and with me, like, well, I didn't want to share this with you because I know you're already, like, you're going through so much. And that's hard to hear as a mom too, because you always want to be there for your kids, but giving them an outlet to talk about, because you think, oh, well, they have friends. Oh no, friends are not going to be the therapy support group that they need.
Nope.
As
Right.
close as they are, it was
Yeah.
probably a couple weeks after we lost Hallie that friends stopped asking. They don't know what to do. Like, they've never been through anything like that. Most of the kids probably haven't even lost grandparents.
Right.
And so it's like, don't rely on, oh, well, they're hanging with their friends, are okay. They're not talking. Like, therapy is a must.
Yep.
But finding the right therapist that they feel comfortable and can open up. And then I would say, our faith, it is very strong in our home, more than even what it was previously, even though it was strong before. We always pray when we eat, of like, everybody has to say what they're grateful for, because even in the midst of the hell that we have went through, there are still things to be grateful for. So I think those are just a few things that we do in our house that keeps that connectivity, but the honoring Hallie and remembering her, and feeling comfortable that they can talk about it, or making sure they have an outlet to talk about it.
I love that. I love that, because I think you're right that, your kids love you so much that they don't want to add to that burden, because they also see the incredible pain that you're in. So,
Yeah.
but so you gave it all to God. You said, okay, you know what? Help me out. Here you
Yeah.
go. And as a result, this incident happened. How are you able to come back to that in your faith, and be like, okay,
Yeah.
with God again?
So I think our situation lends itself to, well, you scrap that. You can edit that out. I think oddly, in this situation, and this might be a surprise to people, I've never been mad at God. Because while I said I worried about Hallie for 3.5 years,
Yep.
I don't worry about her anymore. I wonder about her. Like, I wonder what she's doing, what it's like, all of that stuff. Because again, I believe I will see her again.
Yep.
But I think God saved her. I think she was in a bad place towards the end of that relationship. I think she knew she was in a bad spot, but wasn't at a point where she was willing to ask for help yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think God saved her. I think he saved her from a lifetime of likely depression, disappointment, frustration, sadness, comparing herself to where she was with this person, and not
Yep.
having the life that she had dreamed of her whole life up until that point. And so my faith grew so much stronger afterwards, because I think you go in two different directions. There's only two options when you lose a child.
Yep.
You either cling to your faith, or you go the extreme opposite and you feel nothing in a lot of
Yep.
ways. Both completely understandable, because how would you ever know? But I think I saw a quote the other day that resonated with me. It was like, grief doesn't change you, it reveals you.
Ooh,
So
that's good.
in my mind, whatever cracks or, things that you had going on, it just breaks those open.
Yeah.
And you're just shattered. You're completely shattered. And then you start this rebuilding of who you are, what your family is, what you believe, all of those things.
Yeah.
And I cling to my faith because I do believe God saved her. And Hallie used to always say, this is another funny Hallie thing. It was very sarcastic. She didn't mean it for real, but she would always say, well, I'm just better than everybody else. Like jokingly, because she did not have like that uber confidence like that. So it was always a joke. So now we say it still like, well, I mean, she's better than everybody else. She beat us there, for God's sakes, And we've had so many incredible signs from her. It's really insane. But again, I feel like I am really still connected to her. As a mom, if your child passes away, you don't like all of a sudden you feel like your child's gone. Like I still feel like I'm connected to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that aspect of it, I think, that also keeps me going. I would also caveat this, that my first year of all the first was absolute hell. Like the tragedy and the great loss that's happened in Texas right now, like it makes me sick for those moms, because it's like, oh my God, they don't even know yet what this next year of hell is going to be like.
Yeah.
Then year 2, not to be a Debbie Downer, but year 2's worse, because you've hit all those milestones and people go away. That's just the reality of it. It's just what happens. It's not a negative on humans, but it's what happens. And year 2, it's like, oh my God, this is my new life. This is my new life. I am dead on the inside and I'm supposed to keep living.
Yeah.
And it's not until I would say year 3 or 4, and I'm almost to year 3, where you start feeling like, okay, I can carry this. I can do this and I can function, and it's awful, but I can do it. And you get used to that weight. I think you get stronger in carrying that weight.
Yeah.
So I also, people listening, I don't want them to think, well, this is how I've always been. It's not. It's hard. And there's still, it's hard every day. Like this morning I went to the little community pool, and Hallie had named me Gigi, that I was going to be Gigi as my grandma name already. And so a lot of times she would call me Gigi. There was this cutest little girl at the pool, and her grandma was there. And of course, she was saying, Gigi, watch me, Gigi. And at first I smiled. I'm like, oh, that's, Hallie named me that. And then it was tears, because she'll never have grandkids. Her kids will never call me Gigi. She'll never experience that stuff. And so life, and I'm going to get teary-eyed, but that's the normal. That's normal. You're going to have smile because she was alive and be sad because she's not here.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's hard.
No, that's beautiful. I love that you're sharing. I think that, you are so incredibly, beautifully courageous in what you're sharing and your vulnerability. And, you don't share stiff, you are really sharing from your heart. And I appreciate it. And I think that it's really going to touch a lot of people. I know I personally have not lost a child, but I have friends who have, and to walk them through that you're right. It's hell those first couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make it better. I mean, yes, it's like, my friend says, it's like carrying on those weighted vests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at first it's hard, it's heavy, and that, and then you just get used to carrying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had someone that I met up with a mom shortly after I lost Hallie that was 18 years ahead of me in the journey. And she had lost her son traumatically. And I wanted to know one thing when I met with her. Will I ever feel joy again? Because that is the scariest freaking thing. Because I had a joy-filled life up until that point.
Yep.
And it is so scary. I'm like, I loved who I was becoming. I loved me in my early 40s. You know, you do all this work and you get to a point where you're like, oh, I love who I am.
Yep.
And then I'm like, she's gone. Like, I'm never going to get her back. And her answer, which I loved because it was completely honest, and she's like, you will have joyful moments, but you
Mm-hmm.
won't have a joy-filled life. Like, that's not for anybody.
Right.
And it kind of hit me of like, that's why I say when I look at pictures of myself before I lost Hallie, it was like, oh, you're very naive. Look at that naive person to
Yep.
think that nothing traumatic like that was ever going. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
now you know, and now
Absolutely.
you live differently. You live with purpose and intent, and you know what matters in life.
Yep. And I think that that can be true of no matter what trauma you're facing.
Yes,
So
yes,
like
for sure.
those, those moms that are going to listen to this that whose child is in the hospital, right? Because there's a bad accident and not sure what their life has just changed. Now, their son who was the football player is not going to walk, or their daughter now is going to be, her face is going to have scars that she didn't have before, which in a world where everybody looks pretty all the time is an issue. Like there's that marked change
Yes.
that changes you forever.
It's the grief and the trauma that you know,
Yeah.
because I've had people not want to share things with me that they're going through because they think in their mind that it's not as bad as losing a child. Like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't matter. That's you betraying your own feelings. Like, that still feels painful, and you're going to grieve. You're going to go through a lot of the same processes.
Yep.
It still matters. And that's like my message constantly is like, no, to these moms and these daughters, like, you matter. You are significant. What you were feeling matters. Don't compare even your pain to someone else's pain.
Yeah.
I mean, now don't compare your dog dying to me losing my child. I've had that happen one time. Like, I think that this conversation's over.
Yeah.
I don't think we understand each other. I'm going to just
Right.
go
Yeah.
ahead and see you later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So as we're coming to the end of this interview, is there anything that you would like to share that we have not touched on?
Well, I think I do. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity just to remind people of gun safety rules. I know a lot of times people think they're common sense, but they're not in some aspects of life. So I definitely want to remind people and remind your kids, go over this gun safety rules of never pointing a gun at someone. Always treat the gun as if it's loaded. Know your target, what's in front of it, what's behind it.
Yep.
It seems so simple, but the reality is that making sure everybody around you knows that could be saving another person's life, because at the end of the day, like, we can't control people that are around our kids. And so, but we can make sure that we're educating and reminding everybody, what those, be thinking always of the gun safety rules.
Yep. I love that. Okay, so you hopefully you're willing to share your podcast link and all those where they can get their book and all that stuff, and I will put that in the description so anybody can click on that and check it out, because it's been amazing. So as I was sharing with you earlier, I like to end all my interviews with little, quick questions. So let's get started on that.
All right.
So what's one sound that instantly brings you comfort?
Ocean. Water.
Yeah,
Water.
isn't that amazing? Yes.
Yes.
Which one of your children is most like you and how?
Oh, Chase.
Yeah.
Chase and Hallie, I would say both. They have very similar personalities. They're both very, very headstrong, hard-headed. Yeah.
What's a phrase or quote you come back to when you're falling apart?
Gosh, let me think about this one. I just went completely brain dead on that one. I mean, I think it's simple. It's just God's in control.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
God's
there a
in.
Bible verse or something that you just really resonates with you?
Um, yeah, gosh, there's so many. I came across on Christmas Day after we lost Hallie, so a month after, very first Christmas without her, I came across her 8th grade letter that she wrote to her senior self. And I did not even know I had it.
Yeah.
And she wrote this long letter. It was so beautiful. It was everything that I needed to hear. But then at the bottom, it was said, P.S. You don't understand what I am doing, but one day you will understand. And it was John 3:17, I think. And so I do remind myself of that.
That's beautiful. So what's a book that changed you forever?
I read Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe. And shortly after I lost Hallie, someone had recommended that to me, and it changed my perspective.
What is
Definitely.
it called again?
Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe. And it's all about how your loved ones are still connected to you.
Oh,
And
that's
it
beautiful.
gave me a whole different perspective on life and how I navigate each day.
I love that. So a moment that you'll never forget in the best way.
I think the day that we got married, when we blended our family, it was not a wedding about Eric and I. The wedding was with our kids. And so that was probably the best day that we've all had together.
Oh, that's awesome. So what would Hallie be doing today if she were still here?
Oh man, riding her horses and training probably a foal. That's what she would be doing. Instead, I'm doing that now, which I was always afraid of horses, but now I have a horse and I'm learning all about it.
That's awesome. What is one thing that you refuse to be silent about?
Oh, my daughter, Hallie, and relationship red flags.
So in one word, what does strength feel like?
Uh, Doing it anyway in the face of fear. That's that's hard to answer with one word.
No kidding.
Fearless, maybe.
What is one thing beautiful that you've seen this week?
Feather on my doorstep.
Ah, I love that. What do you wish more people understood about child loss, about blended grief, or about the silence that follows?
Oh man, gosh, one thing that I've not already, that you can get through it, and it's going to be hard, but you can live.
I like that. There's actually life on the other side, even though you feel like your world is completely falling apart, that um, in your mind, there are things that happen that you never thought would enter your mind. Like, that you don't want to be here anymore, or that, this life isn't worth living, or, I can't, my kids will never get through it. But really, the reality is there is life afterward.
Yeah. And it's this weird thing too. We didn't touch on this earlier, but I've talked to a lot of different moms too that lost kids. You don't
Mhm.
have this like fear of dying anymore
Yeah.
because you've
Yeah.
got kids in two different places. Like it's just this weird kind of dynamic to that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being
You're
here and
welcome.
sharing
Thanks
your
for
heart.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will have you come back another time. You have so much wisdom and so many amazing things that I think our moms need to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to come back anytime.